Hello YouTubers, subscribers, and friends. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about things I did while living in Indonesia. And this one's not going to be a remodeling or a building. This is going to be showing you a trip that my wife and I and kids made while we were in Indonesia. We went in from Jakarta, which is over here, and we had to fly to Manado, which is a 5-hour flight over here. Let's see if I can click that bigger. Nope, won't get bigger. Wow. Anyway, so we went to the island of Sulawesi and to the city of Manado to go take care of some of my wife's family business. If you're new to the channel, I got some videos. If you can click back a couple, I don't know, weeks, days back, see my remodeling jobs and building jobs that I did while I lived in Indonesia. This one is going to be about the before I built my 2-story building in Manado. My wife and I went to Manado for a couple of weeks with my wife and kids, and while we were there, my wife's uncle showed us, because I was seeing these houses all over Manado and surrounding areas, Tomohon and Tindano, about 2.5 hours away from Manado. These houses up on stilts, and they called them the Manadonese houses. And they're all built out of coconut wood. I can talk today. So I'm just going to show you the trip that we made. This isn't in Manado. This is actually maybe an hour and a half from Manado. These are the Manadonese houses. This is actually the biggest one. Then they got a medium one, and then they got a small one. And this run, back then it was like, what, I don't know, 2007. That we went to Manado. They're about $10,000 for this biggest one, which is probably about 3 to 4 bedroom house. And these are all hand built. They don't use any kind of electric tools or anything. They're all hand carved and put together. And then you like which one you like, you'd let them know, and they take it apart, and they got them all numbered and everything. And they put it back together. And you can have this corrugated steel as a roof, or you can put shingles, depending on what you want. And they're about, I don't know, 10-12 feet high off the ground. And I'm just going to go through here and show you some pictures of the different styles houses. These are underneath the stairs. This is all coconut wood, all hand shaved, hand carved. This is actually inside this big one right here. And the reason I was looking at these houses, because we had bought some land and I wanted to live in Manado. I was tired of Jakarta because the traffic is just really bad. And I was thinking about buying one of these type of houses. And then what they do is they buy these houses like this. They build them all out of wood, and then they enclose the bottom with brick, and they add more rooms down there. And I was thinking about doing that because they're all over. There's one back there, a smaller one. You could have them off the ground, or you could have them about a foot off the ground. Excuse me. So I was thinking about buying one, so we were going to check out where they have the model homes at. This is the inside, and this is how it's built. You have all these, see these gaps right here? They leave it open for air circulation, and you can see they don't close the thing because the people in Manado don't really have that much money. So that's how they have the homes. Really beautiful homes, all handcrafted. There it is. You have a straight stairway up here, steps that go straight down, or you can go up and then turn and come up again. Make it easier for you to get up. Like I said, this is the building site where they have it, all the model homes, and it's very different than in America. This is my wife's aunt. She's actually a doctor, and she did she didn't do a surgery on me. I had to have a surgery on my hand that I injured in America. It's right here. You can see the scar. What happened is I worked building golf courses, and I was putting some heavy equipment up, and I was pulling it up the ramp to get on the trailer, and something popped right here. It was really painful. Ended up being a big old bubble, and I had it there for a couple of years. You know, cold days it would hurt and stuff. And then the doctors in America wanted $5,000 to take care of this, and she was our tour guide while we lived visiting there in Manado. A very nice woman, doctor, and although she couldn't perform the surgery on me because she's a family member. She had a friend in Manado. It was a doctor, friend of the family also, and he spoke very good English, and he did the surgery on me. I think it was like $300. That's what it cost, and took about 15 minutes to do. And I was a lot heavier back then, but I mean, that's a big difference, $300 compared to 5,000. Anyways, that's who she was. I digress. Anyways, if you have a squeamish stomach, look away, because you don't want to see what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what they took out of my wrist. Right here it is, right here. I still have it. This is the thing that was right here in my wrist. They cut it out. They put it in the solution and they put it in the bottle. They wouldn't do that here in America. They would keep it and analyze it and study and stuff. But yeah, I wanted to keep it and I brought it home with me. I've had it ever since 2007. So yeah, I was looking through the drawers the other day and I found this in the drawer. But all that is just a vessel that there's a empty space here in your wrist, and that happens to when you get older, and happened to me, and it was very painful. And yeah, $300. Anyways, on with the pictures. She just seen there, just reminded me of that. Now this is a restaurant in Manado. This right here is actually the main road to Manado. I forgot this picture was in here. This island out here, you go that way, that's towards the island of Bunaken. #1 place in the world to go scuba diving and snorkeling. But this is a restaurant that we ate out at a lot in Manado. It's a new subdivision. They were not publishing, advertising this as the American Style Homes. A new subdivision just north of the city. This is a restaurant. This isn't in Manado. This is actually about 2 hours from Manado, in a place called Todando or something like that. This is where there's just tables over here, and just an open pit where they cook fish, and this is where the fish are live, and you go in there and you tell them which fish you want. Right here, these goldfish, you point out which one you want, they catch it and they take it back there and they kill it and they cook it right for you right there, and you watch them and everything. And I can't eat fish, I'm allergic to fish, but my wife loves to eat these goldfish. Tondano. This is the actual city of Manado. It's a beautiful city. Freaking they were just starting to build a mall over here. One thing that's weird about this city, I mean, even now when I look at these pictures, this is the only city that I've ever been to anywhere in the world that when you look out here, I mean, the city it faces the ocean. I mean, that's the ocean right there. The main road where I showed you the restaurant, that's it over there. That's it. And one thing I kept looking at that, I kept telling my wife, man, that is something's missing. And then it took me a while to figure it out. Then I realized, and you probably haven't figured it out just looking at this picture, but you'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, when I say it. There's absolutely no ships. There's no boats. There's no jet skis. Nothing. There's no marina. Nothing. I mean, I'm from California, and you go down to the Marina Del Rey, you see boats and marinas and everything parked here, and nothing. The whole city of Manado, everywhere you go, up and down this road, follow the coastline, everywhere, there's absolutely no marinas or boats or jet skis zipping and bouncing or anything. Nothing. What you see, and that's it. And then when I realized that, I told my wife, and she's like, oh, I didn't even notice. I'm like, well, I grew up in California on the beach, and I'm so used to seeing jet skis and boats and sailboats and everything, and that's what was missing in Manado. I never ever saw it there. The kind of boat that they have that I got on to go out to Bunaken is they carve it out of coconut trees, and it only fits. It can fit 3 Indonesian people, but I was a heavier guy back then, and it could only fit me and the guy who was controlling the boat. And they would sink, and the water would come all the way up, and sometimes it would splash in, and I would have to get a bucket and take the water out of the boat, or it was going to sink. And all the guys that worked for me, they laughed. This is the upstairs of that house. It's my wife right there. upstairs. These houses are not insulated. I mean, what you see, that's it. You know, the windows, you know, are missing out of it because they don't put it in the model homes. They just leave them open. There's the floors, all coconut wood. I mean, beautiful homes. And I was thinking about buying one of these houses. I mean, the biggest one they had there, but back in 2007, like I said, I think it's like it was like $10,000 for everything, for them to tear it down and build it wherever you want it. Really cheap. Small ones are like $3,000, $3,500, something like that. Looking down into the living room area or whatever room you want to make it. All hand built. The only thing I didn't like is when you look up, you see the steel, the stainless steel there. I mean, really simple living. The handrails and I mean, perfectly smooth, no splinters, nothing. I mean, the walls right here, just on the other side is the outside, so it's like no insulation whatsoever. Beautiful homes. Coconut wood, when you stain it, looks so beautiful too. My wife, she's because we were gonna buy these houses, and she's thinking, you know, the square footage, you know, because you can have this stairs on the other side. You can flip it around whichever way you want, and she's over there brainstorming in her head exactly what measurements we needed and stuff like that. That's actually, the floor is not finished, but that's the actual master bedroom. There are no closets whatsoever in these homes. These are all pictures of the same house. I can't find any pictures of this one because I looked at the smaller ones, because we had bought 3 pieces of property, and they were up on the mountain. Where I decided to build my 2-story house was at the bottom of the mountain as you start to go up, and then we bought more property at the top of the mountain further up, and where you had better ocean views. And I was going to buy a couple of the small houses, $3,500 homes, and I was going to rent them out. That was my idea I was going to do before I built a 2-story house and decided to live in the 2-story house and rent rooms out. So, looking at the underneath the second floor. Big houses. The outside, what I like about the outside, this is the outside porch here area. They don't have any screen in Manado or even in Jakarta. The screen that I bought for my home that I built in Jakarta, I had to buy it in Singapore, and because they don't know about screens, or nobody that I seen or talked to knew about screens, because they never screen anything in. The mosquitoes are huge in Indonesia, and there's tons of them. But what I like here is this decoration up here. It's like, it's not a sunken living room, but it's like, I don't know, reverse, I don't know what you call it, I don't remember. Going down the stairs, there's a better. You can really see, the picture doesn't show it any justice, but you can really see the grain in the coconut. Let me zoom that in. With the different color of grain, and most people, they don't stain the wood, because coconut wood is really good in the rainy weather. But I had seen some coconut wood that was stained, and it looks beautiful, brings out the grain even better. Just showing how the support system, it's weird to me, because they don't use any screws or nails or anything. They carve notches, and they put the wood in the notches. You can see the notches here, and that's what was making me go, wow, there's no screws or nails or everything. Everything is hand carved, and like the notches in here, and then they just snap in. It's like a snap together house, and it was just kind of like hardwood flooring, and it impressed me. I mean, you can see it right here, the notch, and then the wood sits in the notch, and they're all notched, and they're locked in. I mean, they glue them on the final build. They put glue and they glue it together, but this is just the model, and they don't glue it, because if you decide you want to buy this house, they take it all apart. And they number everything, so they know exactly where everything goes. I mean, I didn't at the time. I didn't know anything about Indonesia at all. Excuse me. When I first met my wife, I knew she was Asian. I didn't know, because she just told me Asian. But after a while, she told me she's Indonesian. I said, what is Indonesian? I don't know what that is. And she said, what do you mean you don't know? Everything in America is made in Indonesia. I'm like, get out of here. You got to be out of your mind. And she's like, and I had Michael Jordan tennis shoes, and she's like, you see them Michael Jordan tennis shoes? How much did you pay for them? I said, man, these things, they cost me almost $200. And she's like, yeah, they probably cost maybe $5 to make in Indonesia. And I said, they don't make Michael Jordan tennis shoes in Indonesia. And she's like, look inside where they show us the size and tell me where it's made. It's either made in Indonesia or it's made in Malaysia. And Malaysia is just right above Indonesia. And I looked inside, and sure enough, it said made in Indonesia. And I was like, what? That totally messed me up. But yeah, this is most people, they close the bottom end with block, that really cheap block that leaks water. If you see my video where I made my own brick, yeah, I didn't like the bricks that they made in Indonesia. Not the red brick, but the blocks. They were really weak and brittle and leaked water. I was just amazed by this underneath, how nice this looked. The craftsmanship in Indonesia is so good. And there's back to the main picture again. Oh, there's a better picture there. Shows the locking system. How did I pass that? But yeah, everything is like that, notched and locked in there. Indonesia is a beautiful country. It's an extremely rich country, but very poor people live there because the government is so corrupted there. And I call Indonesia, the country, I tell my wife it's the red-headed stepchild of the world, because America has really blacklisted Indonesia. They treat them really bad, and the government that controls Indonesia, the Indonesian government, treat their people really bad too. And that's sad to see that the government, Indonesian government, treat their people so bad like that. So, you know, this is a really what do you call it, expensive house for somebody to buy in Indonesia. I mean, if you bought this big house, it's like, what, 10 grand, you know, you have a little money, because you're not sleeping on a dirt floor. And most of the guys that worked for me, they lived in villages that were just this steel, built with this stainless steel and 4 walls and a dirt floor. And my attitude towards the Indonesian country was changed drastically, because everything that I learned before I went over there is completely wrong, because the media lies so much. And they paint the Indonesian people, not just Indonesia, but the Muslim people, they lie. Because I lived with these people for a little over 3 years, and I worked with them shoulder to shoulder, hand, you know, my hand next to their hand, and they're very loving, caring, and gentle people. And to see that this country's government treats their own people as bad as they do, I mean, I witnessed that with my own eyes. It's just it's sad. But these houses were beautiful, and after one really bad rainstorm, I decided maybe we shouldn't go with wood, because it rains every single day there. Pour down rain. I mean, it just buckets and buckets and buckets of water pouring down. And now I know why people in Indonesia wear sandals all the time, flip-flops, because I must have went through about 20 pairs of tennis shoes. You walk out in that the ground, and it's just muddy all the time, and your shoes get ruined. Especially if you're up on the mountain, like where I bought my land, up in the jungle area, not down in the city. Your feet still get wet because all the roads flood here. But yeah, this is a beautiful city, even though it looks all beat up, tore down and stuff. all this stuff over here, this is all new. They were building when I first got there, and they built it pretty quick, and then they started building over here. And they had a Kentucky Fried Chicken there. Here in the States, I do not like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Never liked it, never will. But when I was in Indonesia, I ate it like crazy. Because all they had was a Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, and A&W. And the A&W, it was new when they finished this mall. And it was like a couple months before we decided to move back to the States. And I was eating A&W hamburgers like crazy. Even though the meat doesn't taste like real meat, it like melts in your mouth right away. And it's an acquired taste. But there you have it. That's the city of Manado, where I didn't actually live in the city. I lived up, 10 minutes up the mountain, overlooking this ocean. The blue house cost. And this is way out in the country. Tandano, I think that's what it's called. And that's funny. When we pulled up here, my wife's like, there's an Indonesian boat right there. There's one there and there's one there. Even this lake. I mean, you see these boats once in a while going through there. They got like a long stick with a big old flat wooden paddle, and they just row it back and forth, and that's how it makes it go across this river. But sitting here and eating nasi goreng, which is fried rice and chicken. My wife would eat the goldfish. This lake, that's it. You wouldn't see no boats or jet skis or anything. It was so peaceful and quiet there, except for when the thunderstorm come rolling in there, and extremely loud and the lightning. Very scary, but very peaceful place, man, out in the country. Like I said, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Manado. But yeah, we ate there a lot. That was a friend of the family's, my wife's family, her father. Her father's family all live here on this island of Sulawesi, and their mother's family live in Jakarta. So I got to know her father's side of the family really, really good. My wife's uncle, or well, I don't know what you would call him. He's his wife is the cousin of my wife's father, and he was a radio disc jockey in Manado, kind of like a celebrity, but not like, to me he was like a celebrity because he's a radio disc jockey and everybody would call in and talk to him, and I would go down to the radio station, get on the radio every once in a while, and talk on there, and people would call in and laugh, said that my Indonesian way I speak it is funny. Yeah, I think I did pretty good. The very first thing my wife ever taught me before I ever went to Indonesia is when we were just like, I don't know, maybe 6 months after dating. I was trying to get her to teach me how to speak Indonesian. She said it's a really hard language to speak. And I said, listen, when I put my mind to something that I want to learn really bad, I can learn it. And she didn't want to teach me. She didn't want to teach me. And I just kept bothering her. And she said, okay, you think you can learn my language even though I tell you it's really hard to learn? And I said, sure I can, because I want to speak your language. I want to learn your language because you're my wife, and I want to be able to speak to you in your language. She hates it now because I talk to her all the time in her language, and she's amazed that I still remember a lot of her language, and I still understand when she speaks to her brothers on the phone. I can understand what they're saying, and it drives her nuts because she thought I would forget by now, because my children don't remember. My daughter, my wife speaks her in Indonesian, but she doesn't respond in Indonesian. But the very first thing she ever taught me, she said, okay, I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to let you look at it for 5 minutes, and then in 1 week I'm going to ask you to repeat it to me. Say it in my language, and then tell me what it means. So I said, alright, cool, I love a challenge. So she wrote down, I love you, in English, and then at the bottom of it she wrote it in her language. In English is I love you, and in her language is Saya cinta kamu, which means I love you. So I hung it on my refrigerator, and she hit the stopwatch, and she said go. So I'd say I love you, Saya cinta kamu, I love you, Saya cinta kamu. I just kept repeating that over and over and over, and when the 5 minutes was up, she took down the paper. She tore up a little pieces, flushed it down the toilet, and she's like, all right, I'm going to prove to you that my language is so hard you're not going to learn how to, you won't remember how to say this, and I'm going to ask you in a week. Well, a week went by and she never asked me, and I had totally forgot about it because I was busy working, building golf courses. And then I think about 3 weeks went by, and then just out of the blue she said, how do you say in my language that you love me? And I said, oh, it's been a week already? Just being a smart ass. And she said, oh, I knew you probably remember after a week, so I made you wait longer. So I said, all right, no problem. I'll say it to you and prove to you that when I want to learn something, I can learn it. And she's like, okay, say it to me then, if you can. And I said, saya cinta kamu, banyak sekali. And she's like, what? I didn't teach you that. Where did you learn that from? I said, internet. The translation thing on the internet. She goes, what does that mean? And said, saya cinta kamu, banyak sekali. Means, I love you very much. And it blew her mind, and she never wanted to teach me anything after that. So that's a funny story. Even to this day, when she gets mad at me, she starts yelling at me about something, I just say that to her, saya cinta kamu banyak sekali. And she just shuts up right away and says, all right, don't talk to me no more. Because she's you know, she still remembers that I learned it so quick. Just in 5 minutes of reading back and forth. And not only did I learn it, I added something to it that she had no idea that I had already been practicing for the whole time she'd been making me wait. And I picked it up so much. I used to watch TV over there. We had a TV show that was like Let's Make a Deal. And it was, you pick behind door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. And they would say, satu, dua, tiga. And they would say it over and over. And I'd be like, what the heck are they trying to say? And they were saying door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. Satu is 1, dua is 2, and tiga is 3. And I just walk around the house all the time in Indonesia saying, satu, dua, tiga. Satu, dua, tiga. And her family thought I was crazy. But I was teaching myself how to count in Indonesian. And I can count all the way up to like 50. But I won't do it in this video, but it might be in the next one. But there you have it. Those are the Manado type of houses, stilt houses in Indonesia. And I was thinking about buying it, but I didn't. I went a total different direction. And that's Manado. And research the Bunaken, the island of Bunaken, the #1 place in the world to go scuba diving. And if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. And this has been another things that I did while I was living in Indonesia. Dadah! That's how you say you goodbye in Indonesian. Dadah! When I first heard that, I thought everybody was retarded. And I told my wife, is that person retarded? She said, what the heck did you say that for? Why are you saying duh for? I'm like, you know, in America we're like duh, you know, but they're like da means goodbye. All right, I'm gone. Get gone. Da.